South Africa. They do have a number of players that will be looking for a good showing here. And Reynolds, of course, part of the squad last year that played at the COSAFA Cup, now very much a part of the senior national team setup, having scored out in Bloemfontein against Zimbabwe. Many will be thinking of that. As for Mozambique, going through their motions, they will be happy that it's not entirely a full house here at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, and that could very well mean that the to lead the charges in the way of getting their spirits up. Emmanuel lives in Bloemfontein. Those of you that aren't in the know, travel across the country on any given weekend, showing your support to the different matches and South African football action, or the Proteas, the South African cricket team. He is here supporting, well, his first love in the way of South African football. I think the Colts and enjoying what should be a good evening and a great way to end the opening day of the 2020. Expected families to come through here in the night game that are present here in the evening time, now that the parents have come out of work and at the early supper come out to the stadium to give the youngsters the experience of international football. At a good sight, way more supporters still making their way into the far stand, of course. As it was to be expected, of course. It should be a bit of an atmosphere here to get behind Bafana, hoping. And I'll get closer. Legend in South African football, striker in the day who ended his career playing in the heart of defence. Played for a number of teams, including Kaizer Chiefs. Will be leading out the COSAFA Cup trophy. Doing him proud in also going on to be a professional. Well, it will be certainly cold here in the night time, and both sides, both South Africa and Mozambique, shortly to make their way out of the tunnel. That will be used for this tournament. The other will be the Isaac Wilson Stadium. Both these nations, including those that played earlier today, they will still play some football out at the Isaac Wilson Stadium in the second round of matches, so something to look forward to in that regard. Keep in mind the third round of matches played at the same time. We'll have one game played here and another played at the Isaac Wilson Stadium. So all about the good start here in Group A, knowing how tough it will be, not only seeing out this group, but knowing the likes of Zambia, the most successful nation, of course. National football is concerned, it's a welcome return to Zimbabwe, of course, one of the heavyweights of two nations making their way out of the tunnel. It is South Africa and Mozambique here to make their way out. To be led out by the refereeing team of Mohamed Atumani of the Comoros, assisted by Aswet of Eswatini, both official. tunnel they come, and for very many of these players it will be a proud moment donning the national team jersey for the first time. Of course, the South Africans are led out by as one of a couple of players from Cape Town Spurs that have made this starting lineup. Keep in mind there were really moment for both those players. Mozambique on the right of your picture. Again, the big word for them coming into this match.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our dignitaries.
Upset. Time now for the dignitaries to make their way onto the field.
Our MEC, Mamanoneba Kontiwe, the representative of the Eastern Cape Provincial Government. Our Honorable and our COSAFA, Nelson Mandela Bay President, Utata Umkangelo, and the HOD from Mozambique, Mr. Our Chairman, COSAFA Organizing Committee, Regional Manager, Miss Simangele Solwante.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the President of COSAFA, President Atu Almeida, and I would like to officially welcome all the participating teams, dignitaries. A special welcome to Kenya that is participating in this tournament as guests. I also would like to thank Kenya for accepting the invitation to participate. Extend my token of appreciation to the sponsor, Hollywood Bet, and also the host city, Port Elizabeth. We thank them for being with us many years, for holding our hands, and for the excellent partnership that has made COSAFA a tremendous success over the years. We're wishing all the teams a great tournament, the fans an enjoyable experience, and may the best team win. Allow me at this juncture to invite the Acting Executive Mayor, Chancellor Michel, to come and say a few.
Thank you so very much. On behalf of the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality, a warm welcome to South African football. It is very important to enjoy yourself. Welcome the MEC Consiwe to the microphone. Thank you so much. I have this wonderful opportunity once again. Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it. The tournament officially opened, and we are welcome to the city of Gqeberha as the opening day here will close with what should be the game of the day between South Africa and Mozambique. The dignitaries now meeting firstly the players from South Africa. Now, sitting alongside me, of course, and Marks. Talk about the early stages of your international career and moments like this when the dignitaries come through, how that feels like for the player.
In fact, it was a wow, Sizwe, and it was an eye-opener. But I obviously have to answer from the times of the 30 years ago, and make it 32 because we started our first international game on the 18th of August 1992, and that was against Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe. And I mean, to just now believe that you are part of the international world, that was a feeling, a great feeling I'll never forget.
Well, for many of these players, they won't forget this moment as well. And as we get through the formalities now, we'll get ready for the national anthems of South Africa as well as Mozambique.
And now, the national anthem of South Africa. Thank you so much to our dignitaries, and we'd like to also acknowledge our Eastern Cape President for COSAFA, Mr. Fina. Thank you so much.
Well, now that we do have the pleasantries out of the way, in what should be an important game here for Herman Kelele as well as Victor Jose Martinez. Let's talk Kelele, and he's starting 11 is Tamboto between the sticks. Doty, the captain, plays against plays alongside the impressive Mulesani from Stellenbosch. Watch out for Devin Titus out in the attacking areas, an exciting player to watch, and of course Sibanyoni from Tuks out in the air can be a handful for opposition sides. The refereeing team now awaiting both captains, of course, as they go through the photos. Important for South Africa to hit the ground running here and lessen the pressure, especially with an expecting crowd and an expecting nation watching on as a host once again, 7th in a row for South Africa. Last year in Durban, we back in Kabeja for the action, but one for Mozambique, led by Victor Jose Martin. Their starting 11 will have a 3-man back line here, 5 in midfield, but Volta, Bonera and Osama will be looking to keep things nice and tight in the defensive areas. Out in attack, they will have Mohammed as well as Gianluca, who will be looking to, of course, bring trouble the way of the South African defense in the heart of midfield. Dario will be, of course, looking to run the show as the captain. This Dario that does win the toss here and choose the side in which Mozambique will get the game started. 3 points here means a spot early on in the tournament, top of the group. That's what both these captains will be hoping to lead their sides towards. For the coaches, well, it's all done and dusted now. It's about making the adjustments as the game continues. For Victor Martin, former South African international, and Helman Kelele, of course, will be hoping his side come good. He's part of a legendary generation of South African players back in the 90s. Is Helman Kelele. Many will remember his generation of Paris players, alongside the likes of Massimo Pugnani, generation of Bafana players. Of course, that generation that had that memorable match against Brazil at the old FNB Stadium years ago, back in the 90s. It is South Africa to get this match underway, attacking the goal to the right of your picture. Can't mistake the colours here. Mozambique in the red and black, South Africa in the gold and green. We still await the first goal, keep in mind, of the 2024 Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup. Early ball forward, and Manyoni looking to get on to the end of it. Defensive touch was important in conceding the corner. Positive start here for South Africa.
Not only defensive, but crucial touch. That was a life-saving touch.
Corner taken quickly. The eventual ball coming into the box lacked quality. Zamodisa couldn't get the type of ball he was looking for. This is that early chance. Oh, so close.
And that is what you always get from Pedro. Just always giving attention to the details around the box. Talking about Pedro, Dario also, if you look at him, you'll see him in action. He's a player to watch.
Certainly is operating in the middle of the park is Dario alongside Carrello and Maestro. That's quite a name to give a footballer. Put some expectation on him, call him Maestro. Now, here is Banyoni driving forward then, looking for the first shot in anger in this match. Good work out. And in the end, so and then was Velebai, when he plays the football for Cape Town Spurs. Whipped it in. And the target not too far away in Sibanyun.
Talking about a frantic.
There is Dario. To aim for, and in the end they organize well enough and communicate well enough to the likes of Mboto and his compatriots to deal with the danger.
I had the Mozambique will be joining us in this tournament lately. So what is interesting about it is that Dario is jersey number 7, he's the captain, and Pelembe is the captain and jersey number 7. What's going to happen?
What jersey did you wear, by the way, back in your day?
That.
Jersey quick.
I always look out for that.
Now, space on this near side. Matuludi. Oh, cross coming in. And head on the far post. Oh, it's come at the post. So close to being an opener. Lovely work creeping in on the far side by Velebai. And his header looked to have the keeper.
It's one of those crosses that I love, where where you just lifted the ball, but with a bit of pace under the grass. That's beautiful. It's not one of those that you whip with your laces.
Well, it was begging to be put away then. A couple of good moments here, both involving the Cape Town Spurs, man. Big looking to play it out from trying to is, well, the most active player so far. Asande Velebai. Telman Kelele used to operate as a danger. Here is playing as a winger out on that left side, and he's causing problems here. Now, closing down from the front from Sibanyoni and Mwendani.
That's the luck of the game. That was very casual, taking it short to the keeper, who didn't find a gap to hook it forward. Too many teams notice they try to play from the back and they get caught, including our big Sundowns. They got caught twice and paid the price.
Yeah. It is the trend nowadays in world football, and my how trends change. 4-4-2 back in the day, we moved on, and then there was the 4-3-3, the short passing game, and at one point there was the overlapping wingers. They're sort of stuck in the trend, so to speak. Now, lovely work here with a man eliminated, and the ball in! No, that's a chance! Work here on the right flank. Svanyoni with a couple of good moments here. And South Africa with a good start in the early momentum. Defender plays.
I believe that there was a red jersey that played him on in the middle there. Hopefully we'll see it again. That if he calls, you know, if he let it, it was going to be something else.
So, if you are just joining us here inside the open. Other moments outside of that. Nice pace, nice start to this game. Velebai out on that far side, looking to take advantage of what was a good piece of vision. The ball impressively dealt with defensively. They had to. Nice overlapping run here on this near side. Matuludi, the man who plays for out in the left.
Important point that was made by Coach Herman Kelele earlier on when he spoke about Sundowns players have been dominating Bafana and can still dominate. However, he would like to see other players getting into the philosophy.
Yep.
Now they are playing, and you see that when a team has philosophies is where you get the results that you saw in Bloemfontein, where the fun. And now we're seeing it here, that philosophy.
That's true. Also, seeing a belief out in Bloemfontein. Here at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. And with that self-belief, you see good human moments in the Bafana shake-up when you think of Mokoena coming on in Bloemfontein and how his teammates made sure he got the touch before the game come to an end. The likes of Runway, all involved. Nice human moment.
That was brilliant. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, oh, where is he going with no time left?
Yeah.
And they made sure that he gets a touch, and not only a touch, a pass.
Yeah.
That's what I call a cap. Because at least he touched the ball.
Well, for Bafana, they didn't participate in 1997, didn't enter the tournament. So their first encounter with the COSAFA Cup was back in '98. First round was as far as they got. Quarterfinalists in '99, semi-finalists in 2000, quarterfinalists in 2001. It wasn't until 2002 that the third most successful nation in the COSAFA Cup picked up its first win. Matuludi. Well, going to this near side again. They'll look for Titus in his pace in trying to get to the byline. He's done well enough to win the corner. Really had one bright moment with the earlier on, or the play early. So confidence up both on the left and right side of the flank. There's a nice little touch from Titus, then combining well with Matuludi here in these early stages.
This player has really been a handful for opponents in Stellenbosch colours, Titus. What a team.
Yep.
They had a good run. They had a season to remember. They're in the CAF, by the way.
Yep. Will grow as a club, of course. In swinging corner here. Keeper's done well enough. Clearance only as far as Velebai out to the far side. Shot coming in, and while he was well positioned was Mwendani. Able to make the save, but all the movement, all the running now coming from the South Africans inside the opening 10. Talk about a positive start here. But certainly got the momentum and they're riding the wave here in these early stages.
As I said earlier on, that this game is about spells. I hope this spell remains or just remains longer.
Well, for those of you that may have missed the earlier 0-0 scoreline, as we look back at the shots, good placement then. Couldn't handle, it was too hot to handle in the end. No, not the best of clearances again, yes. Sibanyoni with the attach here. Titus driving forward, looking for Sibanyoni, just out of reach. The angle favouring Mwendani, arguably the busiest player out in that field. That's not South African, but they've seen plenty of the ball, the likes of Velebai, Titus, and Sibanyoni, and they try to get their confidence up nice and early here with the pressure they're putting on. But Mwendani doing himself or his teammates, doing them no favours whatsoever with that distribution.
Or lack of it.
Yeah.
Because he has done it twice and always hitting the yellow jersey. He is not as confident as the two keepers we saw earlier on.
Well, they are making mistakes in dangerous areas, giving the ball away, then lucky to have the whistle go in their favour against Velebai Mozambique, but they're having a stuttering start to this encounter. Handled, unfortunately.
That brings the argument. When is it intentional handling of the ball or ball to hand? Because they innocently trap the ball, bubble to his hand, and the referee gives it. In a penalty situation, do you give it or you don't? You know, those are the things that are still debatable.
Well, you remember back in the day, Martha, in your day, the handball rule was pretty simple. It didn't matter the circumstance behind it. If the ball touched your hand, it was just a handball. Life was simpler then. It was black and white. Now there's a huge grey area to have to deal with. And it goes down to interpretation, and that goes down to the individual as it's relative. Now, picking it up in the middle of the park here is that Maestro.
On that point, Sizwe, I just need to say, I don't mind changes, but let it not be on Wednesday. The same incident now on Saturday is different decision. Same incident. You can't change it like that. You've got to be consistent.
Kialuka, the man down here. Well, and was squashed between three South African players here. They came in from all angles on him.
Here's number 10. They thought he was Messi.
Well, wherever Potter is, there's always going to be a lively bunch around him. He does a great job of keeping the atmosphere alive at any venue across South Africa, and one could argue these days across the world. Whenever South Africa is playing, continent as well, is well travelled.
He's a real servant of the game. Loves it and supporting, not only Bafana, as you earlier said. I mean, he is just loving any action as long as it's got the South African flag.
So Mozambique with a chance now to, well, bring the ball down here and settle just a little bit here after what has been a bit of a rocky start here. Bonera looking for Walter out on that far side. Again, South Africa closing down right from the front, forcing them to go route one with the long ball. Dario, done well. Found a bit of space here on this near side. Jose plays his club football for Desportiva de Songo, losing out then, and Well, here's a man that said a good start to this game and continues with the early ball too close to Mwendani, but Matiludi, as well as Titus here on this near side, have combined well on a few good occasions now. The Polokwane City man having his confidence up and he's tearing up this near side.
He's a lanky striker too, and he has always made a difference in that attacking force of Polokwane City. But I'm just looking back at the point that you made earlier on of the formations. Don't you think that Mozambique played into South Africa's hands by playing with 2 up front and packing the midfield, while South Africa is playing with 3 up front, and they are just invading that box of Mozambique?
Well, it seems to be that the South Africans are certainly enjoying the shape of the game in these early stages. Titus Smanyoni up towards the far post. This Matuludi. Directly out wide to the left. The Chipper United's Modise. Using the width of the field brilliantly. South Africa again, these two looking to combine with this near side. He certainly does get on his bike and look to get forward at any given opportunity. Does Matuludi. Now getting back to his right back position.
Hellman certainly is using the formation that he grew up in,
yep,
and enjoying, because he was untouchable. You can imagine Brandon Silent on the left and Brandon on the right, and then you have your John Mwetis and Linda Butelezi feeding those speedy players. There was one called Aitan Sunda.
Yeah.
He never wanted a pass on his foot. He says play to the corner flag and he would get there. So Hellman lads are running just like our express train that time. What did they call him? The nickname?
Midnight
Express.
That was the Midnight Express. Aptly named. That was a beautiful name.
In whichever way you look at it, he would express himself anytime, even in midnight games.
Mwendani now, Costa del Sol man, look to find their footing in this game after a rocky opening 10 minutes. Still struggling to work it into the South African half of the field of the Mozambicans. Mentioned South Africa had to wait until 2002 to be winners. They won it again in 2007, 2008, and 2016. Last time South Africa had the winning of the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup was in the year 2021. Quarter-finalists last year out in Durban.
Didn't they used to play it just towards the tail end of the tournament, if you can recall?
Yes, there was a point where the seeded teams would come in the knockout stages and play from then, whilst the lower seeded teams would battle it out in the group stages.
And the formation has changed now.
Yeah, it has, and some would argue for the better, with all the teams being involved from the group stages. But back then, to make sure they got the games they were looking for in the way of playing time, you remember there used to be the plate final, plate semi-final alongside the final and the semi-finals and such. So those that came in late, if they were knocked out, they still have action.
It was very confusing. Then there's plate, and then you think, where does this come from? Then before the plate, there's a cup.
Bit of space out to the far side, but for Royal AM. Fighting Modise. There's Belebai. Space once again here. This time for Matuludi. They really are using the width of the field impressively here in this first half of the South Africans. Both the left and right flank are very much alive with possibilities. Just unable to keep it alive. Belebai. To the frustration of the fans on that far side, they felt, or maybe hoped, I should say, that he had kept it alive. It looked a promising moment. Of course, with all this wide play, does invite the crosses coming in, and Mutsibanyoni and his ability in the air and physicality inside the box, he's the perfect man in the Phil Masinga type of striker out there, just to go back to the Nkelele era once again.
And also, Matiludi would get into that box as a late arrival and win those aerial balls too. So that is why he's playing wide and attacking from those wings all the time.
Bye. Acts of Brooks in the middle of the park, Bokenpool as well. Zagwabia keeping things moving. Looking at a 4-3-3 formation here from Helman Kelele. Lilabai looking for the 1-2, then on the edge of that box. Well, another player from Stellenbosch that was impressive over the last season is Thabo Moleisane, operating alongside Totli in the heart of defense.
Didn't the youngster from Middlelands just grow from nowhere?
Yeah.
Huh? Well,
Yeah.
not from nowhere, from Middlelands. Just grew into the game. And suddenly we were talking the Middlelanders to say, Moleisane is doing the job out there.
Had a conversation with Coach Sanong a couple of months ago and asked him of the players he was most impressed with in the Premiership. Immediately Moleisane's name came to the picture. Now chance for South Africa here on the edge of the box. Good work in eliminating one, and in the end took on one too many then with maybe a possible chance to pull the trigger. Gonna begging at the edge of the box.
Could have used the left foot there, but he wanted to bring it back
to the
again
right.
to the right. Not everything that is in the right is right.
Maestro. Well, for Mozambique, they'll be happy that they have survived the opening 15 minutes and the onslaught that came with it. From a South African point of view, the game has calmed down a bit from what was a frantic start from the South Africans. If you are just joining us, coming close to finding the back of the net on 2 or 3 occasions, hitting the frame of the goal as well through a header from Velebai. Willis has done well to evade one. Does have the option down the line and looks to use him. Just the pass a little too strong then as the 2 men out wide on that far side look to combine once again.
Interesting if it ends like this. It's easy to know what Mutene will say. That is the coach of Mozambique. He'll say, guys, you've weathered the storm.
Yeah.
Now you've got to take the game to them. We've got the last 45 minutes. Because he's quite aware that his players are really weathering the storm.
Well, he's also a man who's very aware in knowing what he's up against here. South Africa win it back in the good area once again. The reverse pass, and well, it'll be good work to keep this alive. And in the end, it just runs away from them. Another promising situation. Coming to nothing then. Chipper United man then. Snokolo Waiba involved. One or 2 moments that he's been involved in on the edge of that box that have been promising. Did a good job of winning it back in a good area. Nice little reverse pass to try and maybe catch that Mozambique in the defense unawares. For Mozambique, quarterfinalists in '99, again in 2002 and 2003, semi-finalists in 2004. Again in 2007, and they were runners-up in 2008, semi-finalists in 2009. They had a good stretch then. Quarter-finalists in 2013, runners-up in 2015, quarter-finalists in 2016. So, runners-up on a couple of occasions. Last year they exited at the first round. Before that, in 21 and 22, they finished both tournaments in the semi-finals. A nation that's given us the likes of Flavio, if you remember from, 10, 15 years ago now. Played for Al Ahly for a good number of years, part of the first Angolan side to qualify for a FIFA World Cup at the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
Interesting you say that. Didn't you get a vibe of passion oozing out of Mutene, the coach of Mozambique, about the tournament?
Yeah, certainly did. I was also going to say he seems to know the South African way quite well, speaking well of Helman Kelele, saying he's also very much aware of him, giving the impression he's aware of the history that comes with Helman Kelele.
And the tournament.
The tournament as well. Now, in swinger from Modise, near post, and attacking it. Well, the Spanioni, the shots initially blocked, they're appealing for a penalty, then the referee is right next to the action, confidently giving away the corner rather than a penalty.
The hands were not flying all over the show,
yep.
They were tucked into the body. Now, as tucked onto the body as they are there. So Lorenzo did well, he knew what to expect.
Well, from the right side it was the in-swinger, from the left it'll be the out-swinger from Modise.
Who's South Africa's goalkeeper?
Boto, I think he's had one touch.
Never saw him.
Now, chance of the counter-attack here. Yes, Dario, the keeper off his line! Having to come up with a save, Boto. Right on cue. Dario with a brilliant piece of visionary play then.
That's a counter-attack of note. Miss kick, got almost punished for that. Not noticing that the keeper is off his line. Now you know what Mpoto can do.
Well,
I've
now
never
we know
seen him.
the sticks.
Who's there? I never saw him. That's why I was asking. Is he there? Now he's there. They were just checking.
Well, Dario then, with the best moment for the Mozambicans then, brilliant. Now he spotted the moment and had a goal, and the goal was, well, more than decent. It was a good shot at goal. Then Boto had to backtrack and did so in the nick of time to the Royal Airman. Five in the box here for Mozambique as the ball is played in. South Africa do have a man down in the box, gingerly getting up as Dario shakes things up here on this near side, a little isolated and outnumbered. In the end, outwitted. This is a funny game, the game of football. All the momentum South Africa have had, all the time they've spent in the opposition off of the field, and out of nowhere, a moment like this pops up for Mozambique. They could have been 1-0 down, Max.
And it could have been a mistake from a man that we've been expecting a lot from and was doing a lot for South Africa, that is Velebai, and then he miskicked that one and almost punished. Admittedly, the keeper, when the momentum is on the other side, they will always be attracted further and further from their line. And when you notice that and chip, that could be it for the day. Imagine such a goal when you have just been attacking relentlessly.
Good touch. Great first touch then from Devin Titus. Goals, assists. A great 23-24 season for him. This will also be a boost in confidence in getting the nod, of course, to start here in this opener in the COSAFA Cup. Ball into the near post. Oh, that's beautifully attacked. Unlucky to have found the side netting, but that's what Simonion is all about. Was, well, fortunate enough to get a great look at him during the playoffs and the effect he has on games. He really is impressive in the end, can cause all sorts of problems, plus he moves well for a big man, Max Mampanyane.
That was the line I was waiting for, because technically he did everything right, because he ran towards the ball, and once you're running, it gives you a higher lip and also better direction, and that is the best header of the day today.
Just wide of the mark. Here he is now looking to bring others into it as South Africa looks for the quick transition. will organize the three at the back for Mozambique. Approaching the half-hour mark. No goals as yet. In 90 minutes plus possibly another 30 here, Marks, of COSAFA Cup football on the opening day.
Yeah, the players, like any other tournament, players will obviously be having jitters and don't want to make mistakes. And if you can see the history of every tournament, you realize that very rarely you would find your 5-1s and your 3-2. You'll always find a stalemate all the time, 1-1, but goalless is the biggest one, because if you don't win it, don't just lose it when the tournament starts.
Well, these nations have met on 5 occasions, rather, I should say, in the Hollywood Best COSAFA Cup, with Mozambique winning on 1 occasion. Was 1 draw. South Africa has won on 3 occasions against Mozambique in the COSAFA Cup. So South Africa holding the upper hand, so to speak, it's safe to say, in inverted commas. Well, they are a little short of numbers over that halfway line. Now getting Dario and company to join into the action. Doing a good job of keeping the structure. The South Africans here trying to make it as difficult as possible for the Mozambicans to play through the lines. Jose with the ball down the line. Good movement off the ball then, and a good challenge to concede the corner. Better from Mozambique, with Maestro getting, well, more and more of the ball and getting involved more and more. They need players like him and Dario to drive them forward. Here, the man who plays for Oriental FC getting the corner. Chance now for Mozambique to show us what they can do with a dead ball situation.
Just looking at that almost cross by Maestro, he could have clipped it from to the back.
Yeah.
And then the defender was going to slide all the way out of the field.
Far posted, an important touch from Montembodo. Just as the man was arriving on the blind side, then just took it away from the opponent. Now another decision against South Africa here. So these set pieces, and one is helping Mozambique get into good attacking positions here where they can try and test that South African defense in the air. Waiba pulling at the opponent. There's again another sign of just how important that touch was then, and taking it away from Volta. Easy for the South African goalkeeper, quick to try and get the early release. Then they may have felt there could have been a foul, or maybe should have been a foul here on this near side on Titus as he looked to get the counter attack going. Now, bit of space here on this near side. Nambire. With the ball out to the far side, of course, they do have Nambire on the near side out wide, and Jose on the far. As the wide players that will, of course, drop back to make it 5 at the back when they are defending. Not the best of touches on that occasion in trying to bring others into it. They did have Dario making the movement from the middle of the park as South Africa now drive forward on that far side. But he's doing well initially. Now, here's Sibanyoni getting to that byline and having a hard run at that defense. And well, in the end, it's gone out for the goal kick. Had options.
Not only options, first touch was just not right. Look at his first touch, Sizwe, as he broke through there. that's just putting it too far forward, and that stops every momentum that South Africa had.
Well, he and his teammates out at tax said a tough go at it along with Baroka as sides from the first division in South Africa to try and win the playoffs to get into the DStv Premiership, the top flight of South African football. Yeah, Mr. Banyoni with the movement now and the chance! Oh, good save! Standing save then from Wendani. Came out, read that situation, made himself huge as he denies Banyoni.
The last time Sibanyoni ran to the ball, Mwendani was on his goal line.
Yeah.
And suddenly as he turns, he was right here. And I know he was trying to hit it flat across the face of goal, but it never even had to travel that distance. That right boot of Mwendani made a big difference.
Lovely ball over the top, good movement again from Sibanyoni. Didn't mention how well he moves for a big man. His movement then was a thing to behold. Oh, nice turn here. South Africa drive on again, looking for another positive moment. In the end, over eager and called for the foul. There's Wayiba picks his moments to get into the box quite impressively, coming from midfield as the Chipper United man. This, of course, one of his home grounds as we look back at the ball played over the top here.
Chipper did well there. This is where he covered his line and making sure that he just spreads himself, and that was a very, very important touch.
Well, Sibanyoni with that last great chance for South Africa, of course. Man whom I was mentioning, along with his tax team, found they are going tough in the playoffs. Tax and Baroka coming from the National First Division, with Richards Bay pepping them for a place in the DStv Premiership, staying afloat, Richards Bay. Sibanyoni, one of the players to have stood out, not necessarily from a goal-scoring point of view, but just his general play. It was hard. He's a hard man to miss when he is on the field, or at least was during those playoffs. What is it? Now, Sibanyoni's movement once again is the reason for Matuludi placing the pass where he did. He just got his angle wrong then in trying to find the movement of the big striker. Well, so far, it's been a very watchable game of football here. Only thing that's missing, the same thing that was missing from the game earlier on in the day, the opening goal. They'll be encouraged, of course, by the chances that have fallen in the way of the South Africans, will the supporters. It's Banyun. Matuludi. Boto keeping it moving then as the South Africans combine quite impressively then. Matuludi approaching the last 5 of the first half. Was looking for Titus then, his first touch letting him down, then good pressure applied here. South Africa look to keep it alive. Just gone out of play, but it will be a corner for the South Africans, so good pressure by the combination of Titus and Sibanyoni, getting something out of nothing as Volta was looking to protect the ball here. For he knew it, the man plays his club football for Ferroviário de Beira. The 2 South Africans on him, and that was in a slight spot of bother, giving away the corner. That's nicely done, defending the near post. That's to look up the first encounter between these two sides in the COSAFA Cup. And South Africa get the chance and find the back of the net. It will count. And it's Stuartley, the captain, who turns it home here. One could argue it's been a long time coming here for the South African supporters. Had been knocking on that door. Early ball forward. And that pass, perfect. Great vision, great first time pass, and all Stuartley had to do was put it beyond Windani. From point blank range then. And it's a well-worked goal from the South Africans. Sibanyoni involved, winning that initial header. Lovely pass to open up that defense. Ethan Brooks with the pass, and Amam Kelele with his fist in the air, celebrating the first goal of the 2024 Hollywood Bet COSAFA Cup, scored by the South African captain, Rushwin Dordley. Well, one could argue that opening goal, one that's deserved by the South Africans when you consider the upper hand they've had, the number of chances they've had so far in this first half. With Mozambique getting just the one opportunity, the one save out of Mboto. South Africa have had their moments here, and there could have been 2 or 3 up, and they made the most of them. So as things stand, it's the South Africans that will be looking to end the day top of Group A. Sibanyoni. Have to go back to 2001 for the first time these nations met in the COSAFA Cup, as we get confirmation of the goal scorer. South Africa meeting Mozambique in Maputo, and walking away 3-0 winners on that day. Now, Mozambique with time not on their side if they are to turn things around here towards the end of this first half and find that equalizer. It's Gianluca with the touch. It's a game that spent so much time in the Mozambican half of the field, with South Africa having most of the play. And we've hardly seen the likes of Gianluca and Momede out in the attack. Back in 2001, when South Africa had that win over Mozambique, it was Ndlanya Ntleko and Mazibuko. Ndlanya Ntleko and Mazibuko that were the goal scorers. Met again in the final in 2008 in Tulamahashe. France with a couple of goals as South Africa walked away 2-1 winners. Now, Sibanyoni involved again as Dario does well to win it back in the middle of the park, and Mozambique looking to find the right counter-attack then to see them create a chance of goal. Didn't quite work out for them. Nicely done by the South Africans in keeping it moving here on this near side. Matuludi. Space in the middle of the park. On this near side is Jose. Dario. Nicely done in closing down then by Brooklyn Bochenpoel, the Chipper United men, as they look towards Velebai out on that far side. He's been kept slightly quiet for the time being. Had a great start to this first half, did Velebai. And in place for Aldaid is Momede wearing the number 11 jersey for the Mozambicans, operating alongside Gianluca. Good touch again in bringing it down then by Titus, who was closely watched by the defender. Did well enough to force the goal kick then. Doing a very good job on a couple of occasions now at bringing those balls down, those diagonal balls coming across the field. Superb work by Jose here on the defensive end. Sibayoni does well in the air. Titus too close to Wendani. This first half coming to an end. It looks as though Wendani's got a slight problem here as he goes to ground. The match referee from Comoros, Mohamed Atomani, quick to get to the scene then and make sure the keeper is seen to here in the minutes leading up to half-time. A whole bunch of the Mozambicans, in fact the entire squad has gone in towards their bench then to get some instructions from their coach here. Few of the South African players have done likewise, whilst it's the entire 10 outfield players for Mozambique that have come to this near side. Helman Kelele and his technical team should be a happy bunch with the way things have gone about business here, or the way his men have gone about business here in this first half. Been pretty much in control of the game. There's your goal scorer, the captain. Mentioned this would be a special day for the Cape Town Spurs, man, and as the goalie scored, lovely pass to pick him out then, still did well to pick his spots and put it beyond Wendani. So you'll certainly have a story to tell about the day in the years down the line. Oh, he captained the national team and scored on the day as well at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Four minutes added on to the end of this first half. They've tried that on a few occasions where the goal kick from Wendani goes directly towards Jose here on this near side. Asked a bit too much of him in trying to get him to help move it down the line on that occasion. What South Africa would love is to find the two-goal cushion going into the half-time break here. Get some breathing room before the second half. If you haven't been keeping tabs on the COSAFA Cup, this Group A action, we do have Eswatini and Botswana in this group as well. Some of the nations to think about in the future, the very near future for both these teams. Will be in action on Saturday again. Nambire. Doesn't down from the South Africans right from the front here, looking to win the ball as high up as possible in the field. Actually done in winning the air then by Osama. Maestro. Well, going in towards the last of 4 minutes added on here as Dario is brought down. In fact, it's Momede who's brought down then, winning a set piece here for the Mozambicans. Not too much time remaining in this first half, so might think about the early ball forward here to try and get something out of this half before the game is done and dusted in the first 45, or where that's concerned. Again, looking towards Jose here on this near side. Good work being done on the right back position by Matuludi. Yep. Had a very good half, Matuludi, along with Titus on this right side, Budise and Belebai on the left. Also done their pitch. Have to mention the men in the middle of the park as well. Ethan Brooks and Bochenbol, as well as Kwai, but they've all been busy. Spanioni as well out in the attacking areas. Defensively, there haven't been too many worries for the South Africans. So all round, it's the first half where they have been in control of this game. But of course, coming up with the all-important save when it was needed, as the 4 minutes over this first half, or the time added on at the end of the first half, comes to an end. Shouldn't be too long now. There you go. South Africa with the first goal in the 2024 Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup, and is the captain, Rushwin Totley, that found the opener then after a nice little move from the South Africans to open up the Mozambicans, but there will be a feeling that they could have been leading by more, with the South Africans in control from the opening exchanges in this match, including having hit the frame of the goal through Asande Velebai, who had a very good start to this game, firing on all cylinders, the middle, the left and the right. The South Africans, Boto had the one save to make it. It was an important one in denying Dario what would have been a wonder goal, and one of the goals of the COSAFA Cup. Well, there is just one side in control at the end of this first half, with Mozambique looking to turn it all around in the second. It's the South Africans that will be smiling at the end of the first half with that first half display, hoping to end the day top of the group and to end the opening day on a positive. So far, the first 45 minutes have gone according to plan for the men in your picture. So, yeah, at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, at the end of the first half, it's South Africa 1, Mozambique 0.
Let's go, let's go.
Having a look at the first half numbers then, well, having more than their fair share of the cake in ball possession are the South Africans, and the numbers to show for it in goal attempts, including shots on target. A good 4 on a target, 1 beyond, of course, went down in the man between the 6 for Mozambique here. All the numbers in favour of South Africa, very much in control of that game for Mozambique. They look to improve going forward and also look to shore things up defensively. Marks.
Yes, now I'm joined by Nongeba Konziwe. That is the MEC of Rural Development right down here in PE and Kabeja area. MEC looking at the purpose of seeing these teams here. What does that mean to your economic development and economic spin-offs?
I must say we are excited as a province, and we really thank COSAFA to choose Kabeja and Nelson Mandela Metro to host this tournament. What it means is the economic spin-offs. Hotels are fully booked, restaurants, and also the young ones, schools are closed. The timing is perfect timing because it's holidays. The young ones that we need to see and learn from those that are professional, that are playing here, will then gain experience and skills and enjoy as much as they will be enjoying, but at the same time they will be learning a lot from them.
Also, what is always said about such tournaments is, what does it leave to the people here economically? What does it mean and leave for them?
What I appreciate more is that when the tournament is held here, for the duration of the tournament until the last day, the 7th, the hotels have been booked. So that means economic spin-offs, restaurants, people will be doing shopping as they are coming here, the officials and all the teams that are coming from all over the countries that will be here will come and have, so the tourism sector will also benefit from here because they will be enjoying and looking at the areas, tourist destinations of this area of Gqeberha. Imagine 12 countries coming here to see the Eastern Cape. So we're very happy and we know that they are not going to be disappointed to be in the Eastern Cape.
Interesting, you said, and it also happened in a space of a week, and that was a big plus for you.
No, that is a bonus. Remember the days from today to the 7th. It's not a child's play. So during this period, people will be enjoying themselves. The young ones will be learning a lot. The managers of sports of different categories will also be learning a lot by just watching this tournament.
And the interesting part in closing is that you kept the wind away from them.
Today, God has heard our prayers. It's so warm, it's so nice, there is no wind. Because Gqeberha is known to be a windy city. But today, we are just relaxed. It's so calm and nice and cool.
We are cool too. Thanks very much, Missy.
Thank you so much to you too. All the best for the teams.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium here. Smiles on the fans' faces. They have seen the first goal of this year's Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup. It's South Africa that have scored it through. Rushu and Dodley here. Saw a first half where the South Africans could have scored more than just the one here, could have brought more smiles to their faces, but they'll be happy with the way the host nation went about business in that first half, fully in control of the Mozambicans here. And, well, for Mozambique and their supporters watching on, mostly from a long ways away back home, they'll be hoping there is a change in momentum nice and early here in this second half. There is your goal scorer, the South African captain, of course. And a number of players here have had a good first half here. Mboto with an important save, and the likes of Matuludi with a good showing in that first half. Best chance for the Mozambicans going to Dario, their captain, forcing the save from Mboto. And in as far as the officiating, a good job being done here by Mohamed Atumani from Comoros, along with his two assistants from Mauritius and Eswatini. Respectable turnouts out on that far side, and those from the area that have come out here, especially for the later game, which was to be expected here. The numbers would obviously swell for the host nation in the opening day. A number of players here will be looking for a much better showing from a Mozambican point of view. Walter, Bonera, Osama defensively. They like to short things up, along with Mwendani. They play themselves into trouble on a few occasions inside the opening 20 minutes. They'd like to clean up the game in that regard. Also, bringing the likes of Momede and Gianluca into the game will be crucial if they are to get any joy into this game, or out of this game, I should say. Velebai with a good start. He hit the post in the early stages of the first half, and lucky not to get on the score sheet, but was a big reason why the South Africans got that early momentum, and of course caused all the problems they did for the Mozambicans here. As a change will be made, it's Momede that will make way, and Jose that'll come on in his place. We'll confirm the second change that has taken place for you in a moment. One of the changes, an attacking change, which won't be a big surprise then from a Mozambican point of view. Fernandinho, Jose, the man that's come on, known simply as Fernandinho. Wow. Early ball from Titus, couldn't find Sibanyoni. If you are just joining us here in this second half, South Africa had plenty of joy from out in the wide areas. Also winning the defensively. They had very few problems in dealing with the Mozambicans, and well, the left and right backs in Modise and Matuludi also doing a good job in joining into the attack with a few overlapping runs. Well, early touches here with the Mozambicans looking to push forward through Maestro here on the near side. There's one of the men just on for the Mozambicans. Camito wearing the number 3 jersey. Now, work to be done defensively. Clearance, a good one then by Dordley. Now, Titus. Matuludi. Good movement off the ball, well spotted. Matuludi. Decent attempt to try and find that run being made then, but it was nicely read and dealt with by Volta. There's a South African player down inside the box. That's why the game is being held up. I do suspect that it is Sibanyoni that is struggling. Well, during the playoffs, It's here to take the touch or a bit of contact, maybe I should say, off the ball then. And I was saying just during the tested quite a bit. Now, throw in for the South Africans out on the far side. 10 on the field for the time being until Sibanyoni is allowed back onto the field. Up in the numbers going forward. So, 5 minutes gone by here in this second half, and well, not much to speak of in Mozambicans will be happy with the fact that they are able to hold on to it a bit better and string some passes to get to the now Gianluca then behind, having to come a long way back to get involved in play here is Gianluca, tracked the entire way by Waiba. Keep in mind, no changes here. It was in the first. Dario. Now, good run straight down the middle. Oh, wide. That's the best moment of the second half for both these sides here. More like it from as they get some numbers going forward. Good runs down the middle. Getting started on in Chamito. Happened driving forward. Back at this chance here by Chamito, looking to curl it into the top corner. Didn't miss by much, but that'll be some encouragement for this Mozambican side. Here is Osama. Mozambique enjoying a good spell here. Much better display here in the second half. They've got the corner, Dario standing over it. Created the chances as well here. A couple of very good ones. They win the header. And well, the opening 10 minutes of the second half certainly belong to the Mozambicans. Made the necessary adjustments during the halftime break. Made the one change as well. And well, there's a whole lot of positivity that has come out of that. They've been winning the corner. And the header from that. So, for the South Africans here, they've got a thing or two to think about since the restart to play. Mozambicans not looking anything like the side that ended that first half. Well, looking at the top goal scorers in the tournament may take you on a trip down memory lane. Change to be made here from a South African point of view. Cupido is the man that will come on here from Brooklyn Bochenbull. First change made by Helman Kelele in this match. Well, the problem once again here for Sibanyoni, not for the first time in this match, he's hit the ground hard, and that's been his story even in recent weeks with the playoffs. Looking as though a head injury may be the problem here. He's gone up and lost his footing. In fact, lost his balance as he was going up, then landed awkwardly, and I think crashed into an opponent with his head. Well, good to see that he is able to continue with the game. So, set piece it is here to the South Africans. Big men push forward. Cupido, of course, out on the field as well. Yes, Sibanyoni will look to come into effect in a situation such as this. He's the ball out towards that far post. And there's the South Africans that win their header. Wendani did look to have it covered. That certainly did have it covered then. And Wendani, just to be sure. So approaching the hour mark here. And it's the Mozambicans now comfortable enough to be able to play it from the back with the way things have fared here in the second half. Certainly looking to make a game of it. Well, those unforced errors do creep to the game every now and then that have been a problem. Bonera not happy with one or two of his teammates and the way things fared out there as they tried to play it out.
The moment they start to argue, Sizwe, that's when you have to put pressure on them.
Yep.
Always when opponents are rattled, you've got to always go at them. Can't give them time to recover and start loving each other.
Well, there are a few names, as I was saying a little bit earlier, that will come to mind, especially for you, Max Mampriani, taking you on a trip down memory lane when you look at the top goal scorers in the history of the COSAFA Cup. Back in '98, Taoya Mrewa, as well as Peter Ndlovu, Shep Muradikwa, and Benjamin Gonjera were the top goal scorers in the tournament, all of them with 2 goals.
And not, if I'm not mistaken, all of them Zimbabweans. They are Zimbabweans, and they were lethal. That is why they came to this league of South Africa and just took it by storm.
Well, in 2000, Luke Petros from Zimbabwe once again, with Darren Buckley, the top goal scorers from a South African point of view. The tightest, and Motaludi plays it down the line. Here's another name to ring a bell with a few of Rotten Kilambe amongst the top goal scorers in two, with Mfanzile Dlamini, Tebo Mkwena, Caesar Dlamini, and Patrick Mayo, who led out the trophy earlier on today.
Yeah, and in particular, remember Kilambe Sizwe. So, and that big, bullish strike, and he's the man that made a difference. Interesting, I heard your list carefully this way. You missed a key word there. It's Dr. Tawia Morewa. It's one of the few, and the reason why I'm saying doctor and emphasizing, is one of the few footballers, especially at our times, where he was a player and a doctor by profession. And often when it comes to the game, he would be coming from his rooms, that's doctor's rooms, and that was interesting. In fact, I had a teammate of that caliber, that's Garth Allardyce. He was also walking into the change room with the doctor's white dust coat. So it's been inspirations around one. When you grow up, you realize that you still can do other things except kicking the ball.
Now, interesting moment here for the South Africans as they looking to get a bit of joy here, create their best moments over this second half. Do have the corner for their trouble here. Big men pushing forwards, all about the quality in the ball in. Of course, Peter Ndlovu, not only a top goal scorer in 1998, he was also a top goal scorer in 2003, as well as Noel Wandila and Russell Mwafulira, who ended up going to go play abroad. Now, South Africa, some good movement from Sibanyoni out in the attack. Kept moving impressively then in the middle of the park as they work it out wide to Titus. The overlapping run, very well washed on that occasion defensively by the Mozambicans. Well, the Mozambicans have looked to try and deal with the danger men from the first half. Except Titus and company. So, Moremi will be coming on here for Titus. Second change of the game here from the South Africans. Another player that they've kept quiet here is Velebai, and it's Machel that will come on in his place. So the two danger men from the first half have been kept quiet. Here's Mozambique with the shot! Click, click, bang! Grasscutter from range! And Mozambique level the scoreline here at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Well, it's a scorcher and a beauty. Hit from a long way out here. And it's the man in of the pitch, Chamito, that has the beating of Mboto and brings Mozambique deservedly back into the smash. Nicely done by Dario, getting the assist. How's that for a cracking strike?
Mboto, who was never engaged or involved in the game and now had to be beaten by this. It was taken from range. Mozambicans really fancied their chances. They knew they were in the game. And then they just got paid for their efforts. That's working hard. So, another stalemate, seemingly.
Well,
if it ends this way.
Tell you what, just what you need. And Botswana, well, I hope it ends with the 0-0 scoreline. South Africa have it all to do if they are to take the lead once again. For the Mozambicans, we talked about the changes that made here in the second half and how much better they looked, creating the better moments in the second half. And, well, they'll look to now ride the wave in what is very much a game of two halves, Max Mapanyani.
Loving the words of the coach, says we can put up a fight. And isn't he just not putting a fight here? He really is. And the Mozambicans are now more comfortable. They now realize we in this game.
Very much are. Dario and the likes thereof having better effect in the middle of the park as they work it out wide here. The early ball forwards. Comfortable for the Royal AM men. Well, I spoke with Peter Ndlovu, being amongst the top goal scorers in 98 marks, being amongst the top goal scorers in 2003 with Noel Wandile and Russell Mwafulira. He was also the top goal scorer again in 2004 with 3 goals. In 2005, Collins Besuma with 4.
That Collins Besuma is the man that went on to just took South Africans fans by storm, in particular the Kaizer Chiefs fans.
Yep.
But you're talking about Peter Ndlovu. Now it reminded me again. Remember we were talking about Midnight Express, Helman Mkalele?
Yep.
We had a Bulawayo Express for the English fans.
Working hard in the middle of the park here is Asnukolo Kwaiba. They've got just over 20 minutes to try and well, grab the momentum in this game once again here to the South Africans, whilst for Mozambique is continue as you are. Much better display here. And you and I spoke of this in the first game. It's very rare with football at this level as the flag goes up for offside, but very rare that one side will dominate in the first half and continue in that way without adjustments being made during the half-time break.
That's the nature of the game,
Yep.
Sis, where you will always find it swinging from one end to another. That is why when you've got a spell, enjoy it. South Africa scored, not during their spell, by the way.
Yeah.
That's after they'd lost their spell.
Heavy
And then
touch.
came the Mozambicans,
Yeah.
who just are enjoying, as we speak, every moment of the pitch.
Heavy touch from Mochela, then seeing the ball run away from him. Well, for Botswana, they do on a couple of occasions have a couple of players that have finished top goal scorer in this tournament. Ramatlakwane, Jerome back in 2013 and Makanti in 2018. Last South African to finish top goal scorer in this tournament was Letswalo. That was in 2021. Now, good work here in trying to get to that boundary line. Modise says won the corner. Paul Letswalo, when he finished top goal scorer in 2021, first South African to finish top goal scorer since Patrick Mayo and Dewo Mokoena back in 2002. So a long wait for the South Africans to have someone finish as top goal scorer. Almost 19 or so years. That's well defended on the near post. Now counter-attack is alive here. There's Dario on the ball. Nice skill to buy some time and space. Some movement out of that far side if you can spot it. That's good work by Mochela defensively. Spotting the danger, dealing with it. Jose. Now, middle of the park, yes, the Mozambicans again getting a bit of joy. Comfortable for Mondin Bojo to pick up. A good few names here that one would remember over the years that really have rocked things from a goal-scoring point of view. Captain Malachila, many will remember from Zimbabwe, also amongst the top goal scorers. Well, he was the top goal scorer back in 2009. Felix Badenhorst from Eswatini, their all-time top goal scorer at this tournament with 9 goals. He was the top goal scorer back in 2016. Now, there's a shot from South Africa, wide of the mark. rushed into it somewhat as I look to pull the trigger then. Waiba. So, Mozambique will be making another change here as we look back at this shot that's gone well wide of the mark. It's Gianluca that makes way, and coming on in his place, Miguel.
Not only that substitution, there is also a substitution likely for Bafana because there is a man down, and I can see the sign language that there must be a substitution.
Well, it's that man Sibanyoni, and he's gone down 3 or 4 times now in this match. He's taken a few good knocks, and to believe will be of the feeling that he's had enough now. That's not a good sign as he will be stretched off, and well, you can see marks they are strapping him in to the stretcher. Also a sign of a player that maybe in some discomfort. His body language says it all. Big grimace on his face as he makes his way off the field.
Oh, he's got his hands on his face. Once a player does that, you must know he is in pain. I mean, look at that. He's really in pain.
Yeah. So a couple of changes will be made by Helman Kelele by the look of things here. Under 18 minutes remaining on the clock. It's Mozambique right in the wave if you are just joining us late in the game of 2 halves. Now, the tussle in the middle of the park then. Bokenpoel losing out in the battle. Ball in towards that far post and slightly overcooked.
Good news is that Sibanyoni is on his feet. Can walk around. He's a big man, so does it mean you have one man must be substituted by 2 short ones?
Yellow card here. Yellow card for Dario. Been involved in the midfield tussles with Snokolo Waiba as Dario deserving of the yellow card with that challenge.
Sibanyoni, the focus is on his hamstring. They're putting a big red plaster there, and that's where his problem is. At least it has nothing to do with the bones, it's just the muscle.
Yep. Good work to get the ball back into that box. Then needed to be dealt with. It's Osama that got it clear. South Africa will bring another good ball into that box. Again, impressively dealt with defensively with the diving header. The shot is well wide of the mark. From some distance then, Mudise trying his luck. He'll enjoy playing here for Chippa United. They've also had some joy with their time out in East London in recent times.
2 things are interesting about this game. Find a player playing in his home or background,
yep,
and or at his club fields. Yep. You'll see what he does. I mean, you saw what Tapelo Morana did in Bloemfontein. So all the homies are here. I must show them that I can still play. And didn't he just disorganize Zimbabwe?
What a performance it turned out to be here. They need something similar to the South Africans if they are to end the day top of the group. As things stand, it's Mozambique that will be high in confidence with the way things have gone in the second half. So, nice job in winning it back on that left side by Jose. There's Dario. Ooh, I think he may have picked up a slight injury then as he was moving, Dario. That'll be a concern for the Mozambicans.
That's the man that's been pulling all the strings in the middle of Mozambique. His calf muscle has just pulled. He's stopped without anybody maybe touching him or anything. So it is one of those that you can't force. It just says it's enough. Your muscle just say we stop here.
Well, there you have it. Sibanyoni making way for Ashley Cupido. And Brooks makes way for Rhodes. Couple more changes being made here by the South Africans. Well, there is Dario. And, well, he's still clearly struggling then in the middle of the park. Ashley Computer, of course, with that impressive ending to the campaign. The win over Kaizer Chiefs or Cape Town Spurs on their very last day of the season, as they were relegated. For a few of the Cape Town Spurs players that have been involved here this evening under Helman Kelele, they'll be, well, marveling at the way the season ended. You beat Kaizer Chiefs, you also get included in the COSAFA Cup squad. All is not lost from the season just gone by. Dario now making his way off the field.
Different opinion from me, Caesar. I think beating Chiefs, beating Pirates does not matter. The bigger picture is out of the way. And that's where your salaries are. That's where your family's been run. With all the money that you get from PSL and the salary that you negotiate. And then you've got to go to the Motsepe Foundation. That is the championship.
Yep. It's Medise. Couple of players on the edge of the box encouraging the possible early ball here. They worked it to the byline, the cutback, the shot! Sliding in, then he got under it. It was always going high and wide. But more like it from a South African point of view. Keanu Kipido then sliding in.
That was a brilliant cross, played just as a cutback and taking all the Mozambicans out of the equation. And sliding over it did not help. It just got it to just sky. Could have been better.
Well, the Cape Town City man arriving perfectly then after the defense was set for that cutback. Had to, maybe felt he had to slide in order to reach it, but in the end got under it and lifted it. Very interesting closing to this game, with both these sides now looking for what very well could be a winning goal. Saturday, Mozambique in action against Eswatini in the opening game out at the Isaac Wilson Stadium. South Africa will close the day with a game against Botswana. They're back at it on the second. Mozambique taking on Botswana, and South Africa Eswatini as we round up the group. Keep in mind, those games will kick off at the same time, with Mozambique Botswana happening at the Isaac Wolfson Stadium, and South Africa Eswatini right here at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Tomorrow's action will see the return of Zimbabwe to the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup game up against Comoros. Zambia take on Kenya, the invitational side. My, what a group that promises to be, with Comoros and what they've been able to do in recent times. Zambia being Zambia, Zimbabwe, of course, those two the two most successful, two at the top. And as far as the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup, as we view this ball over the top, slightly overcooked. Kenya will look to shake things up coming in from the east.
This is the only team from East Africa, isn't it?
Yeah.
Per invitation.
Yes, per invitation. They, of course, involved in the COSAFA out in the east.
So, if you like, you can call them wild cards.
Yeah, that is.
Those wild cards can always be a challenge, a handful. You remember Otieno and others that we had from Kenya?
Yeah.
We had some quality players. Otieno Ongao.
Yeah.
What a player. Cape Town Spurs was his team.
Santos also. Yeah. 10 minutes remaining in this game.
Played with a few Kenyans at Dynamos, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, one or two strikers.
Yeah.
Very strong, lanky boys.
And speaking of invitational teams, a couple of editions back, the COSAFA Women's Championship had a Tanzanian invitational team that came through and won the tournament. As a change will be made here. And it's Edmund as well that will be coming on. Making way is Jose. So, Edmundo comes on here with his side looking for the big upset. In starting off the 2024 Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup. Got the throw in here just outside the final third. Under 9 minutes remaining on the clock. Dario still on the field. That'll be good news, of course, for the Mozambicans. Cross come shot is no problem for Boto. Now, transfer South Africa possibly here, looking for a yard! Defender did just about enough then, and taking a lot of the pace off the effort from Rose.
Oh, what a build-up from a bad first touch.
Yep.
Trying to stop it, and then it slipped because the pitch is dewy now, and it just went to a teammate and almost resulted into a winner.
Comfortable save in the end for Mwendane. South Africa now pressing. They look to keep the pressure on in the last 5 minutes. Modise. Buremi. Now, pressure on that central defensive duo for South Africa. They did well in moving it up the field. Whistle and decision goes against South Africa for the foul on Obama. Plays for Desportiva de Songo. Was there a push or was that a slip? Of course, all the talk about the World Cup qualifiers back in September. South Africa in a group with two other sides from the COSAFA region, that being Lesotho and Zimbabwe. Currently second in the group behind Rwanda in Group C, that being the South Africans with Benin, then Lesotho, Nigeria at fifth spot, would you believe, and then Zimbabwe. Nigeria yet to have a win in 4. That's a big surprise in the group, I think it's safe to say. Now, card here for Mulisan. Well, did have the shove on the opponent, which led to the card. And a set piece in not a decent area here for the Mozambicans. Miguel, and won the foul amongst those now that will push forward. And hoping to see Mozambique take the lead for the first time in this match. Now, chance at the counter-attack here for the South Africans, looking for a speedy transition. Waiba looking for that forward pass. It's well dealt with by Mozambique defensively. In Group G of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, Mozambique were currently second in their group as well, behind Algeria. Botswana, same side in this group, same side in the World Cup qualifying group as well. Third place are the men from Botswana. Guinea, Uganda and Somalia round up the group as things stand.
Amazing season with 5 minutes remaining. South Africa, who looked like a runaway victors, just struggled throughout, and seemingly they could salvage a draw, despite the fact that now they are putting pressure on opposition. They now realize that now is the time.
Well, it's funny how both these games today would have turned out. For the side that dominated in the first half, they didn't put it to bed with all the chances created, that being South Africa. And earlier on in the day, Eswatini went on to share the spoils earlier. As things stand, they're sharing the spoils, but still time for either South Africa or Mozambique to walk away with 3 points here. Could have a chance on the back post. Oh, that shot's gone wide. Keanu Kipido again with another opportunity. Had a bit of time. Rushed into the shot, however. well wide of the mark at the end of it all. So, and down here is Ponera of Al Hala out in Bahrain. Well, they're still in good spirits for the most part out in the stands, hoping to see a late winner that'll see South Africa top the group. That's what they hope for. Well, Bot has been at it since before this game got underway. So easy to pick out in a crowd of supporters is the man always in South African colours. If not South African colours, is always in the Bloemfontein Celtic colours. Minutes remaining on the clock now. Just looking at the nations involved and the battles that lie ahead, but just looking at their history as Zambia with the most wins, looking for 3 wins on the trot with this year's tournament, having won in 22 and 23. Zimbabwe is still the second most successful nation, South Africa third. Zimbabwe, of course, back from international suspension. Angola with 3 wins, and Namibia with 1 in 2015. Now, South Africa looking for that sweet ending here, that shot nowhere near causing any trouble whatsoever for Mwendani. Well off the mark then from Kwaiba. Tell you what, the nations of Botswana and Eswatini will be watching on here and hoping it stays 1-1, because they know no scoreline from earlier on in the day will mean everybody's on the same amount of points. No advantage whatsoever at the end of day 1 and the first round of matches for Group A. Mark Fish from that generation we spoke of a little bit earlier with the likes of Helman Kelele and such. Also another Orlando Pirates legend, South African legends, AFCON winner. Great guy. So tomorrow we look forward to Group B action at the Isaac Wolfson Stadium with seconds remaining of the 90 here. Yet to get a winner from the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, or are we to get a winner? A late, dramatic winner. Five minutes to be added on. Notjela. Abduludi. Unaisani. Udise going down the line, then continues his run. Well, South Africa finding the opening, and oh, what a defensive play. The defensive play of the match then, just when it looked as though Kwaiba was in. Out of nowhere, the long legs came through then to concede the corner when it looked as though South Africa were in for a chance at goal. Osama with that defensive play. Waiba knows just how close he was, just a touch away. Good work defending on the far post. So, man down here is went down in the goalkeeper. Well, look at his captain in the body language. That's coming through then from Dario, shaking the finger at him and trying to implore him to get up. He doesn't look to believe that his teammate is down here. He's saying, get up, we've got a game to win. I think that's the message. If his body language is anything to go by. Not trying to finish with a draw here. They want to go on and try and get the win if they can. So they're not looking for any time-wasting tactics on the Mozambicans here late in the day. Victor Martinez with great tactical changes in the second half here to throw a spanner in the works of the South African cause. He's having fun. At the poor security guy's expense, but he's having fun. Good work in not allowing the cross to come in from Luisani. Corner for the South Africans now. How many will they throw forward into this box? Six with one on the edge of the box, fall into the near post. Dario now. Well, under 2 minutes remaining. Bit of time wasting from the Mozambicans then, in ensuring the South Africans didn't take that throw in as quickly as they would have liked. Only a few seconds, however. Good vision, lovely ball out wide to that far side. You can see what they were trying to do. Still, the Mozambicans kept a good shape defensively then, and it didn't work out for the hard-working and impressive Tabang Maduludi here on the day. There's that defensive play. That's the defensive play of the match. Looked in all sorts of trouble once that ball bounced in the box, but my oh my, did he not recover well. Last minute of 5, added on to the 90. Just about 30 seconds remaining now. They'll be in a hurry to get it forward. The South Africans. Machela. What do you say? There you go. Ball driven in towards the edge of the area. It's well defended once again here by the Mozambicans. Now, can they get something going forward here? Dario. Run took off a little early, so was in an offside position. South Africa in a hurry to get it moving. Seconds remaining of the 5 added on. There you have it. Group A. On the opening day of the 2024 Hollywood Best COSAFA Cup does not produce a winner. 0-0 earlier between Botswana and Eswatini. 1-1 later in the day between South Africa and Mozambique. Great first half for the South Africans where they hit the post, scored through Dudley, and kept the pressure on and could have scored more than just the one. The second half certainly belonged to the Mozambicans. They made the adjustments at the second half and came through to score an impressive goal then from Chamito, who'd come in off the bench. A game of 2 halves at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium ends with a scoreline reading. South Africa 1, Mozambique 1. Having a look at the stats then, it's Well, South Africa, again, we look at the goal attempts and feel maybe they could have had slightly more. For Mozambique, it's how they improved from the first half with goal attempts and shots on target. That'll be impressive. Still, South Africa with more of the ball here, but not as much. Not the 63% of the first half. For Mozambique, it's about how much they improved and the adjustments they made in the second half, and that's a big reason why this game ends with a 1-1 scoreline. Now for the
Who's moving the mic?
Sorry.
Put the mic back.
Congratulations to our man of the match, Doti. But to present the prize is Mr. Yawa, marketing leader at Hollywood. And this is the moment where he will be happy to get what he deserves. Thank you, Mr. Yawa. Doti, a tough game, started like a house on fire, looked like you will be all over your opponents, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I think for us, we started the game well, created a lot of opportunities, but the final moments, we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, but we kept going and we created another opportunity and we got our goal.
You got the goal, but then also you couldn't get that final one, the last goal. Beautiful cross on the left and just teammates sweeping it over the bar. That could have made a difference.
Yeah, could have made a difference, but because we kept going, we kept pushing, we didn't give up. Because we believe that the way we started the game, we wanted to finish it like that. High tempo, high intensity, and the more we create chances, the better the opportunity becomes to score a goal.
Well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that's Doti, that is the man that's in charge of Bafana and making that difference, scoring that important goal. And I'm joined by Coach Jose. Coach, you said it, you are going to really fight it out. And didn't you just do that?
Okay, so I would like to say congratulations my players, especially in the second half. So they tried to do what our model of the game. We played well, we keep possession, and we changed our strikers. So those changes gave us a good strategy of this game. And then so let me say that first half it was for South Africa, and then so this result, it's how can I say it's good result for both teams. First half belongs to South Africa. They dominate the game, and second half so was very compact there. We didn't give them a space. We were starting to play from the back, what we didn't do at first half. So this result, I can say, congratulations both teams, and congratulations for the Mozambican people who support us in this moment.
Interesting you say that, and in 20 minutes, you could have been 3 goals down, and second half it was a balanced game. What did you have to say to them to get competitive?
Okay, I told them that so you have to play as we train, because you know our philosophy of the game. We keep possession and then we try to use our wingers and we start there in the middle, especially in the middle. Number 7, our captain, he wants to join with the strikers. So we didn't give them a space. So this is what the strategy that we made for the second half.
You're talking about number 7, your captain. I liked him, Dario. He was really in charge in the middle of the park. But the moment when he just had that pull calf master, you must have got worried there.
Oh, I worried of him because he's my key players there. But this result is a result for the group. We have got the teamwork. So I have to say thank you all the players because they work as a group, special on second half.
Coach, thank you very much, and I hope that you keep going. And I liked what I saw about Mozambique throughout the tournament.
So we'll continue to give opportunity these young players No one was here last year in the COSAFAs. Only the captain was here, but the other players are new players. They win under 20 COSAFA in 2022. So we're happy to give opportunity to those young players another to join the senior team members of Mozambique.
Coach Joseph, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And the next coach that we are waiting for is Helman Mkalele. I'm sure he'll be joining us now. He is right here. Midnight Express, as he was known during his playing days.
Yeah.
I'm sure you fondly remember that nickname.
Yeah, no, I do, Max, you know, and wherever I walk, people just always remind me of that during those days.
Yeah, but now talking about your midnight team, didn't express themselves as well as as we expected them to.
You know, yeah, I would say they tried, they did. In the first half, we dominated and we created a lot of clear chances, more than them. Came second half, I think we lost shape, especially defending our lead. We started to go out there losing shape in terms of trying to go and win the ball in their half, like pressing up high. But now what we were doing when we tried to go and win the ball in their half, especially in their defensive third, then we left openings, the gaps that they exploited quite very well. And fortunately, we dealt with it. But Max, I would say it's one of those things, you know, in a game you will dominate. You're not going to be able to dominate the entire 90 minutes as we dominated the first half. And they dominated the early part of the second half. But towards the end, then we took over, you know. But also, I wouldn't like to make this as an excuse. You know, I'm so happy with these boys because they give it all. You know, imagine when a team that was assembled, that came to camp or started training on Sunday. So especially after coming from the off-season, so some of them you could see now they were struggling.
Isn't it interesting that you mentioned their domination and your domination? You and I know well about the game being a game of spells. How do you now drill it into them to say, while you dominating, put the ball in the back of the net? Because it could be the other way around, not dominating and conceding.
Yeah, that was the message that we gave it to them before the first half. And even in the second half, we told them that, guys, let us make sure that we enter the final third and we hit the ball on target. You know, when you hit the ball on target, what does that mean? It means you have more goal-scoring opportunities, you know. But unfortunately, second half, you saw some of the finishings, you know, going over the pole or off target, you know. So that is what we're going to work on, and work on our defensive organization as well, because that is where I felt that we let ourselves down.
Coach, thanks very much for your time, and good luck as you move on.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Universidade da África do Sul e uma segunda parte em que os rapazes conseguiram interpretar fielmente aquilo que nós delineamos como estratégia desse jogo. Como foi um bom começo? Bom, é um bom começo porque é o lema que existe nos Mambas. Se não dá para ganhar, também não dá para perder, e nós conseguimos fazer isso. Estamos todos de parabéns. Mas eu não estou satisfeito, nós queríamos ganhar.